Seen the meme, you know, that it's got a guy holding a battery drill or a cordless drill, and it's firearm safety, you know, had his finger off the trigger until he's ready to use the drill. And that, I mean, really, whenever I use a cordless drill, my finger is straight when I'm not using it. It just carries over once it's so ingrained into your mind, in your body, that you just know that you're not going to press that trigger until you're ready to fire the gun. So that leads us to, let's see, we got treat every firearm as if it is loaded at all times. Know your target and what is beyond it. Wait, no, sorry. Treat every firearm as if it is loaded at all times. Never point the gun at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy. Finger always off the trigger. And then the last is know your target and what is beyond it. And what that means is that, see, I'm not working with cue cards or notes or anything. I'm just kind of going off the dome. So the bullet doesn't stop just because it strikes whatever intended target there may be. You can look at ballistics gelatin test where they shoot a big block of jello and it shows you what the bullet does and how far it penetrates and all that stuff. If you're shooting, say you take a self-defense standpoint and somebody's on top of you, close quarters, and you pull your firearm and you shoot. There's a possibility that either if you miss or if the bullet passes through the intended target, that you could strike somebody else and fatally wound them. The bullet doesn't stop just because it hits the target. It can keep going for, we don't know how far it can go. All these different variables apply whenever you shoot a firearm. You can shoot a deer per se. Say you're hunting and you shoot a deer. I've shot deer and the bullet passed clean through many times. I've seen, this past year I shot a deer and the bullet went in. I shot him quarter and facing me, and it went in right here and came out his back leg. Tell me how that happens. So you never know what the bullet's going to do once it strikes its target initially. So always know your target, know what you're shooting at, and know what is behind it. So you can imagine that if you're shooting a piece of paper, and you can imagine a loved one, just to give you a really extreme example, and you got a loved one and they're back there waving at you behind the paper target. If you shoot that paper target, you're gonna kill the loved one that's standing behind it. It's an extreme example, but it just goes to show you that once the bullet leaves the gun, once that round has been fired, you are responsible for anywhere that it may be going or where it does end up. You're responsible for that round as soon as you pull the trigger and it leaves the barrel. You have to know without a shadow of a doubt that that bullet is going to only travel into a place that it is safe. At the range, that's why they have those big berms and backdrops where when you shoot the target, it goes through the target and goes straight into the dirt. There's the, you know, huge berms and huge mounds of dirt that catch these bullets. So when you're hunting or you're thinking about carrying for self-defense, you have to know that when you use that firearm, that it is not going to pass through a would-be attacker or an attacker or whatever and go through that person and hit an innocent person that has nothing to do with the attack or the crime that's being committed towards you. You know, there's a lot of data out there and there's a lot of information out there on ballistics and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into that. Basic, simple, common sense stuff. Know what your target is and know what is beyond it. You cannot abandon these rules at any point. These are laws. They are like the laws of physics. They are not easily broken. You just don't. They're laws, and that's why we still use these 4 rules to this day. So we have a big responsibility to, it's a big responsibility to be able to carry firearms. The right to bear arms that we have in this country is a huge responsibility. And you have to know what you're doing when you carry these guns and you carry these firearms, for self-defense or hunting or sport or whatever. You have to respect them. If you do not respect them, people can die. People can get seriously hurt. And I mean, you see it all the time. There's tons and tons of terrible things that happen because the wrong people are using firearms, or, the bad guys with the guns. Do yourself a favor. If you're new to firearms, go take a class. They have classes that for people that have never even seen a gun, never even held a gun. And they take you all the way through your infancy of your gun handling, all the way up to being able to draw from a holster, and all these variables, all the more complicated stuff, drawing from the holster, knowing when and where you can shoot and all that. Everything is born out of the 4 basic rules of gun safety. Learn them, memorize them. Every time I do dry fire training out here in the studio, whenever I make the gun hot again, I recite those 4 rules of gun safety as I'm loading the gun. And I repeat to myself out loud that the gun is going hot. The gun is hot. Because there's always that chance that if you just let this become a mindless action, that you could really get hurt. If you just let it become something that where you're moving through the motions, bad things can happen. So you have to make it something that is very important to you, and it should be important. So we have a responsibility. Learn the 4 rules of gun safety. Get somebody to help you. Take some classes. Learn. Somebody like me, I'm always willing and very happy to help somebody. I'm not a licensed instructor, anything like that. But I tell you what, I've been around guns my whole life, and I've never had to shoot anybody on purpose or accident. I've never shot myself. I know gun safety, and I know gun handling, and I know the fundamentals of how not to get hurt or hurt somebody else. And once you know those things, you can help other people with gun safety. You don't have to be some kind of licensed guru to tell somebody not to keep their damn finger on the trigger while they're not shooting. You don't have to have some sort of crazy license for that. If you know something about guns and you legitimately are a safe and well-meaning individual, you can help others not hurt themselves. It's just like anything else. If you see somebody changing a tire with a crescent wrench, you would go help them and say, no, that's not how you do that. You're going to either hurt yourself or tear something up. So I just wanted to make this video and kind of cover the 4 basic Colonel Jeff Cooper's rules of gun safety. So number 1, once again, treat every gun as if it is loaded at all times. Never point the gun at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy. Your finger is always off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And know your target and what is beyond that target. So, go get some training. Ask questions. Read. There's plenty of information out there. Ask me. Hell, I'll help anybody that I possibly can. But do yourself a favor. Before you go buy that gun, learn a little bit before you buy it. Do your homework. Learn about the firearm you're buying. Learn everything you can. There's so many different laws out there that we have to abide by these days. Learn the laws. Learn gun safety. Learn your state laws as well as, federal laws. So there's a lot to learn, and it's a big responsibility. But it's one that we should take very seriously, and we should all take advantage of it. We should all take advantage of the right to bear arms. Even if you don't want to carry, you should at least have one in your home. But that'll be it for today. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I just wanted to make this video to help this seemingly small group of individuals that may need some plain English gun safety tips and stuff that know me and wanted to hear my take on it. So everybody have a good day and go learn something.